Okay, this is the sound check. How is it? Okay. Well, thank you for welcoming me to your group. This is awesome to find out about this, our organization, and I love that you're all wanting to learn about lots of different things. What a huge variety of topics you have. So yes, I'm Jean, and I work for the state agency Office for the Blind and Visually Impaired. And so I'm a state employee. And I wanted to point out in state government, it's a bureaucracy of many offices, bureaus, and like. So our agency is within the Department of Health Services in the Division of Public Health. We're in the Bureau of Aging and Disability Resources, in the Office for the Promotion of Independent Living, and then finally there is Office for the Blind and Visually Impaired with two other agencies that serve people who have disabilities. So our counterpart agencies in our bigger office are the Office for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing and the Office for Physical Disabilities and Independent Living. So I am the Office for the Blind person. In my 6 counties that I serve, which is based out of Appleton, and my coworker Katie serves Wapaka County, and then we have several other of us throughout the state serving the rest of the state. So there are 11 of us, rehabilitation specialists for the blind, serving adults with vision loss across Wisconsin. So my area is kind of that purplish color, and Katie is basically all of central Wisconsin. Poor Katie, she has a lot of counties. It's a little lower population, so that's why she has more counties than I do. And I occasionally help her out too. We also share a specific thing in New London together too. So the bulk of our work that we do is meeting with adults who have vision loss and helping them figure out, well, how do I do things now that I can't see very well? How do I read my mail? How do I manage my medication, fill out my checks, all those different things that we do in our daily life. If you have visual impairment, you have difficulty doing those things. And as you heard me say, like, we're this small little agency, only 11 of us throughout the state, and a lot of people don't know about our agency. So I'm glad so many of you are learning about us, because even if you know of somebody who lives in Rhinelander or La Crosse or some other town in Wisconsin, our agency serves them. And how we serve them is typically meeting with them right in their homes and finding out what they're struggling with and giving them suggestions of how to do things differently, showing them the different products that are available, which are some of the things that I brought to show you tonight up at the table here. We also connect people to other services. So one of the other services that we connect people to, I have a brochure in the back for, it's the Talking Book Library. It's a public library program for people with vision loss to access audiobooks mainly is what their main thing they do. So we connect people to other resources as well. Commonly providing low vision assessments, the majority of the people that we work with have some remaining vision that they need help using to their best ability. So we're helping figure out, well, how do they best use their remaining vision? I am an orientation and mobility specialist, so that's orientation and mobility training, teaching people how to use a white cane. So I brought 3 different types of white canes to talk about a little bit. And all those daily life activities that I mentioned already, of how do you do that if you can't see? And there are many solutions for people. So that's also the other big piece that I want people to realize is there are many solutions and many things that people can do who have vision loss to continue to do things for themselves and live independently as much as possible. Assistive technology has blossomed in the time that I have done this work. So now we're not just showing people large print and magnifiers, but we're working with them on their smartphones and tablets and computers and helping connect them to the Meta AI smart glasses and other devices for people with vision loss. So we're knowledgeable about a lot of those things and can help people figure out if that product or device could be useful for them. We have a lot of those assistive devices for people to try out, and we can even let them borrow that equipment from us to try out a little bit longer if they need time to figure it out. We also help people, or help in support groups. So there are support groups for people with vision loss. The only one in Wapaka is in New London only. So running any group, as you know, takes time and energy and the people to keep it going. So you are all doing awesome. But sometimes the visually impaired support groups will fizzle over time, and we sometimes restart them. So New London has a pretty new visually impaired support group. Anybody with vision loss and family can attend that group. They meet at, is it called Washington Center? Yeah. So they meet there once a month, and they meet the first Thursday of the month at 1 o'clock. So we connect people to support groups like that, and we support the support groups. So Katie and I have both attended that New London support group pretty regularly, especially since they're new. And then sometimes our agency, our staff will help start a support group, which I did in Manitowoc last year in September. I started a new group in Manitowoc that meets at the Manitowoc Senior Center. And there are several other support groups around Wisconsin for people with vision loss. And then we also do presentations. So we provide presentations to pretty much any group that wants to invite us to speak to people. So if any of you are connected to any other organizations or groups, you can certainly contact me or Katie if you want a presenter. One of the things I like to mention is the normal changes with vision with aging. And the top 3 things I want to point out. One is, so pretty much if you live long enough, these things could happen to you. And these top 3 ones are pretty common. The inability to focus at close range. So most of us have experienced that starting in their 40s. It's presbyopia, where we couldn't hold things up close anymore, and we had to get longer arms or our reading glasses or bifocals. So that happens to pretty much everybody as they age, as their eyes can't focus up as close anymore, so we need reading glasses or bifocals or very long arms. The increased need for more light. So in this room, I think, okay, if any of you have to get up and walk around in the dim lighting in the back especially, be really careful, because humans cannot see as very well in the dark. And when your eye is older, it's even worse. And that's, again, something that most people find in their 40s as they start to need more light to do the tasks that they've always wanted to do, their craft work, their reading. So needing more light is a common thing. So you might consider in your own home, are there any places where I need more light? A brighter light bulb, adding lighting. And the important things about lighting is there's 2 things that lighting do. They light up a whole room so you can get around safely and not trip on the chairs, or you can find the doorway. But then the other thing is task lighting. So that's my little demonstration of that little desk light there, is just lighting up the little work area that you have, whether that's you're putting together a puzzle or your craft work or sewing, or chopping up vegetables at your kitchen counter. You might need more light than you used to need. So getting that light in really close can make a huge difference. And then the other thing, the third thing up here is difficulty adapting in light and dark environments. So I experienced this tonight when we went to Simpsons, is it? So it was bright and sunshiny day at 5 o'clock when we went there for dinner, and then we walk in and it's dark in there. And any eye takes time to adjust to the light changes, but an older eye takes longer. So for people with an older eye, you might need to stop and wait for your eyes to adjust to the change in lighting, both when you've walked into that dark restaurant or when you are walking back out of the dark restaurant into the bright, sunshiny day, is to just stop and wait for your eyes to adjust so you can be safe in your walking. So those things happen to pretty much anybody as we age, that we'll notice those. Another thing I mention is, so you don't need my services, is to make sure you are getting regular eye exams. And what does that mean? The best is at least once a year, and also the best is to get a dilated eye exam every year. So the place that I was going for many years did not do a dilated eye exam on me. They probably assumed like, oh, Jean's, pretty healthy, her vision is good, she's young. And so they did not do a dilated eye exam until I got some more training and was like, I really should be having a dilated eye exam. They can see better into our eye and the back of our eye, the retina, to have a dilated eye exam. So they can monitor the retina and just see a little better. Important to have a regular eye exam to catch any problems that you might develop that you may not realize. So you can start treatment or to keep getting it monitored so it doesn't worsen. So if you haven't seen your eye doctor for over a year, put it on your list of things to do. And I mention that to people too, that like the younger people in your life, they might not go to an eye doctor at all. Or they've gone maybe 10 years ago or something. So it's one of those just bodily health things is to have regular eye exams to check what's happening there. A lot of people wonder about the term legally blind. Oh, and by the way, to get our services, so if somebody has vision loss and they think, oh gosh, I need some help, I can't do these things I need to do anymore, how do I get a hold of Jean or Katie? Anybody can just contact us. You don't need a special referral from your eye doctor or anybody special. Anybody can reach out to us and say, hey, I need some help. And we'll help determine if you really do need to see us or if it's something else that you need. And there's also no cost for our time to meet with people. It's a state-provided service. It doesn't have anything to do with insurance. People can meet with us more than once, and we commonly meet with people more than once because we can't get through everything in one meeting. And you don't have to be legally blind. It's really if somebody is struggling to do something in their daily life because of their vision that they would qualify for our services. And we do have like an official eligibility of 20/70 visual acuity, but even I've served some people who have slightly better vision than that, but they're struggling with some daily life task. But the definition of being legally blind is a measurement of one or the other things. One is the visual acuity. We all want 20/20 vision. That's the goal. That's good vision. The bigger that second number is, the worse your vision. And so oftentimes that like 20/70 is where I might be meeting with somebody or starting to meet with somebody. But I've met with people with much worse vision. So 20/400 is even worse than that, than 20/200. And then once it gets to like 20/800, then they usually start putting things like count fingers at 10 feet or hand motion at 10 feet. So if they're kind of off the visual acuity charts, that's the other thing that's noted on some medical charts. The other way that our vision is measured is by our visual field. So how far left and right and up and down we can see. So that visual acuity is our central vision, our clarity. When we're looking at words or a clock, that's the clarity of what we can see in the center vision. But the visual field are all across our visual field. So if we see some movement over with here with our visual or peripheral vision, we can turn to look at that motion to see what that is. And so we almost have 180 degrees vision from side to side. It's not quite that, but close. And when it's a restricted visual field of 20 degrees instead of almost 180, then somebody has a restricted visual field. And that's kind of like tunnel vision that people would talk about, like if you look through a paper towel holder and you could only see what's in that center, not anything off to the side. So that's legally blind. We have some depictions of different eye disease using this photo of the boys on some type of playground equipment holding balls. So normal vision, of course, you can see from left to right, it's all clear. Age-related macular degeneration is the most common eye disease of my clients. There's a lot of people who have macular degeneration. It impacts central vision. How it's depicted here is a severe impairment to that central vision. Of course, there is a great variety to the amount of vision loss that any of the eye diseases can cause. So a common thing for people with macular degeneration is that they have difficulty recognizing faces. So they'll see somebody is there, but not be able to identify who they are until they're maybe much closer, or they can use other clues like their voice or their body shape or the hat they always wear, or things like that. So age-related macular degeneration also impacts central vision in reading. So to read words and numbers, we use fine detail vision to see that. So a common problem for somebody with macular degeneration is reading difficulties. Cataracts is another very common eye disease, but thankfully, I don't have a lot of clients who have it because it can be corrected. How many of you have had cataract surgery already? Lots of hands are up. Yes, it's an aging issue typically. Certainly some people can have it happen sooner in their life, but most of the time people who live long enough will need to have cataract surgery, and thankfully we can have that surgery and an implant is put in, and then your vision is clear again. And more colorful and bright. My mom just had her first cataract surgery last week, and I'm glad it was successful and everything went well. So cataracts is just the clouding of the lens of your eye. It gets cloudy, everything's blurry, foggy, hazy, and then that's taken out and it's all clear again. For people who have diabetes, it can cause diabetic retinopathy, and that can cause vision loss anywhere in the visual field, and so it's depicted here with blind spots all over the place. It's certainly difficult to recognize who the boys are. You might know that there's kids there, but not who they are. Again, this diabetic retinopathy depiction is, of course, just one depiction. There's this whole range of how it can impact somebody in their vision. I didn't talk about the treatments for macular degeneration. Anybody who has macular degeneration, you know that if you've got dry, there's mostly no treatment. There was the new injection that came out maybe 2 years ago. And if you see the commercials for that with the Fonz, Henry Winkler did the advertisement for geographic atrophy. It's dry macular degeneration in a severe form. So that's a new treatment for that. Otherwise, dry macular degeneration doesn't have any treatment. And a wet form of macular degeneration, there's an injection of a medication into the eye. It sounds kind of bad, but it has been effective to slow the progression of the disease. And the same treatment can be done for diabetic retinopathy and laser treatment to stop the bleeding in the retina. And then glaucoma is when the increased eye pressure, another reason to go see your eye doctor regularly to check for the pressure of your eye. If it's not controlled and it's too much pressure, it causes damage to the optic nerve, causing peripheral vision loss, the opposite kind of vision loss as macular degeneration. So it's that tunnel vision that happens. There are a variety of treatments for that, and typically not a cure for it. It's just kind of to manage the pressure to keep it in normal range. So this is my favorite part of the things that I like to talk about, is all the technology and devices that are available for somebody with vision loss. So there are very low-tech things. It's really basically any gadget that could be helpful for somebody. We call low-tech assistive technology. And then there's very high-tech, like the Meta AI smart glasses or some of the devices over there. So high-tech to low-tech. And then also the kind of technology that is useful for somebody with vision loss is to be able to use their remaining vision the best. So maximize the use of somebody's remaining vision, and that's usually the use of magnification, optical aids of some kind, and making things larger print. So I am going to walk past here and point out one of the most common things that I talk to people about when I meet with them. Handheld magnifiers, and probably, I bet you all have one in your house already. But probably most of the ones that people have in their home are probably a low power magnifier. It might be a really big one like this. That's maybe a 2 power. But you probably, for somebody with vision loss, by the time they've called me, they need something stronger. And actually this little one is the strongest magnifier of the ones that I have here. So the stronger the magnifier, the smaller the lens is. So it's magnifying more, but you're not seeing as many words at a time. And that is no fun. But it certainly can be beneficial for some reading tasks. So I still work with people a lot on magnification. And there are various types of magnification. Some are glasses. Optivisor is a common one. If people do woodworking or any fine detail work, or if you were a dermatologist, you might have had this little visor thing that brought down and has the little lenses there to magnify. And this thing right here and this thing is electronic or video magnification. So it's using a camera and a screen to magnify what you want to see. So this one is a desktop model, and it's one of the smaller ones. It's easier for me to carry around. So it's magnifying my little business card, and you can make it bigger if you need it bigger. And you have to move it around to like, oh yeah, where's Jean's phone number? Oh, there it is. And you can make it really big. And you can change the colors, heightened contrast, maybe a dark background instead. And this is a little version of that, a portable version. So it magnifies the print to help you see it better. So to read your mail, your medication bottle, food package, whatever. So this is another form of magnification, electronic magnification. Let me see. And the other thing that helps with maximizing your vision is lighting, making sure you have enough lighting that I mentioned already. Ooh, I left my clicker over here. And then the other thing that can be done is using your other senses. So if your vision isn't working very well, you can use sound. So examples of sound, one I mentioned already is audiobooks. There's a variety of ways to get audiobooks, but the one that I mentioned that there's a brochure for is the best because they have a huge selection of audiobooks, and there's no wait, and there's no due date, which is different than your public library through getting audiobooks from the public library or the Libby app. So this talking book library is only for people with vision loss, though. Well, it's actually for people with physical disabilities where they cannot hold a book, or it's also for people who have a reading disability as well. So the Wisconsin Talking Book Library, which is a National Library of Congress program, is available for vision loss, reading disabilities, and physical disabilities that people cannot hold and use a book. My most common other talking thing, so if you can't see it, maybe you can hear it. So if you can't see the clock, they make a talking clock. This is just the big button.
The time is 6:56 p.m.
Yep.
The date is March 9th, Monday.
So you just push a button and it tells you the time. And this one is a keychain one, so portable to put in your purse or pocket. Push a button.
It is 6:55 p.m.
And it tells you the time. So these are alternative ways if you can't see it. Maybe you can get that information in another way. And so these are very simplified ways of, it's a talking clock. A little bit more low tech. And I'll have a couple other examples too. Let me see if I got to everything here. Yeah, so I talked about maximizing remaining vision with handheld magnifiers, the electronic magnification. the head-mounted optivisor, lighting. Ooh, binoculars and monoculars. You all know what binoculars are. A monocular is just the single one, and I have one example of that. It's to do something like read a sign in the distance. Somebody who likes to go for walks and they want to make sure they turn on the right street, or they're in the grocery store and I can't read the signs that are hanging above the aisle. Well, you can look through this to look at a distance and see that sign you need to know. So just a monocular. This is a little specialty one where the focus is on this little slider thing. Ooh, and large print. So maximizing remaining vision. You can get it bigger with the use of a magnifier or these optical aids, or you just get it bigger. So large print. And where do you find these things? They're not in your local stores. They're often special orders from specialty places that sell this kind of stuff. So I brought this example of a very large print calendar and my very large print playing cards in a little stand. And I think that's the only other large, I guess I have bold lined paper and bold pen. And the thing about my pen is that it doesn't bleed through the paper like a Sharpie does. So getting things in large print, there are many things that you can get in larger print. Whether it's the clock on your wall or your watch, look for things that are large print and easier to see. Okay. So I mentioned, like, where do you get these products? The piece of paper that's in the back that's stapled, that has resources for people with vision loss. One of the pages has adaptive aids retailers, where it lists some of the organizations or businesses that sell products for people with vision loss. So that is in the back if any of you want it. So I mentioned some of the audio things. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the use of touch. So one thing that this does a little bit of both is a writing guide. So this is one that's designed for an envelope. It's basically this piece of black plastic with lines or boxes cut out. Somebody with low vision would be able to more easily see where they should write who they're addressing the envelope to. But also somebody, say, who's totally blind would be able to feel that as well. I had a client once who had a tradition, her and her sister, of writing letters to each other. And she wanted to continue to write letters and not just make a phone call to her sister, even though she had very little vision. So I got her a writing guide that was for like the whole line across, so she could continue to write letters to her sister. And you all know how to write. You could do it with your eyes closed. So I tell people, like, you can still do it even if you can't see it, what you're writing. You have to be a little more careful and think before you write. So this is just an envelope guide, and I left in the back a pile of signature guides. So somebody who has difficulty signing their name and staying on the line, who can't see the line maybe, is they just make this just a little piece of plastic. This is one of those low-tech things that can be really helpful for somebody to maintain that independence of signing their own name on their documents. And then another tactile, so that was a little tactile. The other thing I brought along, it's hard to see from a distance. This is an oven dial. And for somebody with vision loss, they have difficulty reading the 350 and 400 on that little oven dial. And so we can put marks, tactile marks, so somebody can feel, oh, that first little one is the 300, and the next one is 350. I feel that bump. And you turn the bump so it's at the top of the dial or pointing up to know that you set it correctly. And you may have noticed I had loaned this portable video magnifier to somebody, and they had difficulty remembering which button to push to make it bigger. So we put this yellow foamy sticker on it so they would be able to easily find the magnify more button. And this one that's orange is the color button, can change the colors to help them change to make it easier to see. So that's a use of touch. And there's certainly the use of Braille that's still used. I just worked with somebody last week in learning Braille because she wanted to play cards with her family and do it herself and not have to have somebody help her. So Braille is still taught and used even with all the technology that we have. So that's another use of touch, to feel those little bumps and determine what they mean. Okay, I better keep track of this little thing. So now the little more high-tech devices. Optical character recognition is basically a camera that looks at something like words, and then the software to figure out what those words mean and then to speak those words. And so what one is the standalone device right here. Oop, I got to turn it on here. Some of you may assume, well, we all have many of us have smartphones, and I'll demonstrate that too, what optical character recognition software can do. Okay, I'll leave this here so I don't lose it. So optical character recognition is seeing the words for you and then reading them to you because you can't see. So how do I read my mail? So I'm turning that one on, and it's taken a long time to turn on. So that is a standalone device. People don't need the internet or a smartphone or even know how to use a computer. There's just a couple buttons to teach, and so if somebody...
Press scan to take a picture.
So I just had this thing about white cane law here. If somebody needed it to read their mail, they would put this lined up on this edge of the machine, and then push this one button. Cross our fingers.
White cane law. The Wisconsin white cane law has been in force since 1947. S 346.26 Wisconsin statute. 1. An operator of a vehicle.
So it's reading the words on this piece of paper. So that has been a really helpful thing for somebody to be able to read their mail and not have to wait till somebody came over to read it to them. So anybody who has a smartphone can also get an awesome free app called Seeing AI app, and it can do the same thing. So I have just opened up the app, and it uses the camera, so it's pointing at my feet right now. So I'm going to point the camera at the same piece of paper. Oops, should have.
White cane law. The Wisconsin white cane law has been in force since 1947.
So it's reading it.
S346.26 Wisconsin.
So the really awesome thing about the Seeing AI app is that it can also read handwriting pretty well, which is this machine cannot read handwriting as well, but the Seeing AI app can. So that's the main use of the Seeing AI app, and reading print. So it can be a sign, a food package, the mail, all those things that we read. It can read it to the person. The other thing that it can do is it can describe things. And the thing that I had one of my clients, more than one actually, use it for is to help them pick out their clothing. They wanted to pick out specific clothes, the striped shirt, the blue shirt, whatever. And she couldn't tell. She happened to have a lot of clothing. And so we figured out that she could use the Seeing AI app to basically point the camera at her clothes and take a picture, and it would describe what her clothes are. And I'm trying to think of anybody willing to let me take a picture of you? It's not one I'm going to save. It would just describe you. A volunteer? Wait. Okay, well, Ann did raise her hand, but if you want to be you have a great shirt on, too. Okay, so this would be, typically it would be like if somebody's in their own home, they're just wanting to pick out their clothing. But can I also give you, and I'm going to turn up the volume. So it's going to describe what the camera sees, okay? So.
Processing.
Boy, I hope I had it on describe mode. Nope, I didn't have it. There we go.
6 5 face 3 5 processing.
It's thinking. That's the thinking sound.
The image shows a group of people seated in rows of chairs. In the foreground, there are 2 individuals sitting side by side. The person on the right is wearing a colorful patterned sweater with geometric designs and light-colored pants with patches. They have brown hiking boots on. The person on the left is wearing a gray hoodie and blue jeans, with black shoes. A small black handbag and a paper cup are placed on the chair next to the person on the right. In the background, more people are seated, filling the room.
Okay. So that's the Seeing AI app, and it has multiple uses for somebody with vision loss to help them know what's in their environment. It can also, I read a food product and actually read the UPC code off of the food product and be able to get to the nutrition information, the ingredients, the directions to make the thing. It varies from product to product, but so that Seeing AI app has been awesome for people. And it is available both on the Android and Apple platforms. So, and it's free. So that is like a high technology thing. It's optical character recognition, but it's in your phone that people can carry around wherever they go. Speech output and screen enlargement for computers and smartphones and tablets. We work on that with people, making the text larger, changing the font so that it's a black background instead. Or one of the things I tell people is don't have your grandkid or dog in the background of all your apps because it doesn't help you see those apps better. Use a black background. On your lock screen, though, you can have the picture of your dog or grandkids or your chicken like I have. But not on the app screen because it's visual clutter. It adds to the visual clutter. And really, that's the case for all of us. It would help us all see better if we just chose a solid background on those apps, on that app screen. Many things that smartphones and tablets can do. I always tell people to use their voice assistant. So talking to Siri or Google Assistant, it does it without you having to see it. So it can send a text, it can read a text, it can make a phone call for you, and many more things by talking to your phone or tablet. So I work with people on all those different things. GPS has certainly been a helpful thing for somebody with vision loss, well, for all of us, to help us get around to the places we need to get to. But GPS can be used walking as well. And so for people with vision loss, they use it to verify the direction that they need to walk and when they're approaching a building that they're wanting to get to. And there are some specific GPS apps for people with vision loss. Smart speakers are things like what many people have is Alexa. That has been also a very useful tool for people with vision loss. Even though it wasn't truly designed for people with vision loss, it was designed for all of us to have our little smart speaker in our house we can talk to and say, Alexa, what's the weather? But it's really nice. You don't have to see anything. You just talk to it and you listen to it. So smart speakers have been useful. And now we have some smart glasses. Have any of you heard of the Meta Ray-Ban glasses? They're smart glasses. So they connect to, so they're glasses that you can get prescription or plain glass or sunglasses. They have a microphone in them so you can talk to it. They have a speaker so you can hear it. They have cameras that can look out into the world. And then it's connected by Bluetooth to your phone to an app on your phone. So I could do things like, I could ask it, hey Meta, what's in front of me? And it would take a picture and it would describe what it sees. Or I could say, hey Meta, what does this say? And it would read my paper to me. So the Meta glasses really do the same thing that app that I just showed you do that a little while ago, but it did it like without me having to get my phone out of my pocket. I could just talk to it whenever I wanted with the glasses on my face. So that has been the latest thing that our agency staff have all had to learn how to use and teach people how to use them. We've also loaned them to people to try out to see if it would be a good fit for them. Okay. Oh yeah, talked about that already. And apps I talked about already. The Bard mobile app is an app for the Talking Book Library program that I mentioned. And Be My Eyes. So Be My Eyes is an app for somebody with vision loss to use to basically make a video call with somebody to help them with a visual task. So it might be that, oh my gosh, I dropped my glasses and I can't see on top of it, and now I dropped my glasses and I can't find them. That actually happened to one of my clients. He took a nap, his glasses fell down somewhere, and he couldn't find them, and I had just told him about the Be My Eyes app. And he said, oh, I'm going to try it to help me find my glasses. So it's a video call to a volunteer who will help look through the guy's camera, and so the guy says, hey, I need some help finding my glasses, and they say, okay, point your camera around, and they're like, nope, I don't see it there, and oh, move it farther to the right, oh, yep, there they are, and then the person could direct him to where they were. Or they might say, you know, I got to this block, and there are these 5 businesses here. The one that I want is the Mexican restaurant. Can you help me direct me to the door through this video call to a volunteer? And any of you could be a volunteer, helper. So it's just truly volunteers throughout the world who say, yeah, I'll help somebody who's visually impaired find and do something. Be My Eyes also has an AI part too, so if you feel weird about calling a volunteer person, you could talk to AI and say, which one is the Mexican restaurant? So the AI would take pictures and report back to you information. So that's the Be My Eyes app. Okay. So this picture is a picture of one of the programs that our agency does. We call it Adventures in Vision Loss, and we hold it at Wisconsin Lions Camp in Rosholt. And any of you recognize this? Yeah? So we have permission to use these photos from the people. So the big group picture is 16 people who attended our 5-day training program to help them learn how to live with vision loss, and we use Lions Camp to run our program. And this lower picture is my coworker Dean, who is totally blind, teaching people about using a brailler to type in Braille. This is my coworker Jeff, teaching a gentleman how to use a white cane. And so this picture, I can also talk about white canes a little bit. This training program is, like I said, 5 days, and it is no cost, like our services are no cost to people, to come and get 5 days of training. And it's been exceptional, so impactful for people who attend, because they get to spend this long amount of time with other people who have vision loss and just focusing on learning about all these different things that we tell them about. So different types of white canes. There are 3 main styles of white canes. So most of the people in this photo have the long cane. And you might think of that for somebody who is totally blind, using that long cane out ahead of them and either tapping it from side to side, or now that we have these roller tips, it can just roll back and forth. So this checks somebody's path before they're walking in it. So the cane will find the podium before my body finds it. It can help somebody find an open pathway. And so we teach people how to use these. So this is more for somebody who has pretty significant vision loss, where they need they can't see that thing going across here to not trip on the wires. So they need a cane to detect things for them and help alert them to hazards in their path. The other thing that a white cane does is identify the user as being visually impaired. Because a lot of people who have vision loss, you can't tell they have vision loss. They look fine. So a white cane will identify that person as being visually impaired if they're using a white cane. And so when they ask you in the grocery store, hey, can you help me find the cream of mushroom soup? And you're like, you're standing right in front of it, dude. But they can't see it. They can see they're near the soup, but so if you notice, oh, they're holding a white cane, that's why they're asking me for help. So that's some of the reason why people will use a white cane, to be identified on purpose that they're visually impaired, so people get out of their way, they're more helpful, and maybe have more understanding when they're asked for help. Somebody who has pretty good vision, I can see that thing across the floor, I can see where the door is, but they can't read signs maybe, or recognize faces, and they may need a little support with their balance, so they make a support cane that is white with the red tip. So that signifies that person may have a balance problem and they have vision loss. And then somebody who maybe doesn't have a balance problem that needs a support cane, but they may want to be identified as being visually impaired. This is it's like a mini version of my long cane. It's an identification cane. And this type of cane is mainly just carried for being identified as being visually impaired. So this person can get around safely, but they can't maybe do that reading, and they're physically fit enough that they can stand and walk just fine. So those are the general 3 different types of white canes that we help people figure out what they might need, and then also how to use it, especially this one. So that's that extra certification that I have to teach people how to use that cane. Okay, I think I have gotten through most of the things I wanted to get to. And yes, I talked about all the stuff on the table. That's good. Okay, and I don't think I have any more slides. This, I think, was the last one. Yeah, this is my thank you one. So, okay. So, any questions that any of you have? They'll come around with a microphone.
Yeah, Gene. My doctor, my eye doctor, my optometrist does not do the dilation anymore, but he takes a picture, and for about the last 3 years. And when I came in this last time, he put the pictures up there at the back of the retina and showed me where changes and things were. Is that a new advanced technology that goes beyond the dilation?
Yeah, so I don't know what the name of the machine is, but they can take a picture of your retina. And that is great that you can see the changes, and that's one of the reasons why, even if your vision is good, it's good to get a check once in a while. And even in your 40s, you can get that baseline photo of the retina. I think some doctors probably are like, I think that takes a good picture. I don't think there's a need to get your eye dilated. And there's probably just different kind of philosophies, I guess. So it was just one eye doctor that our agency had come and speak to us, an optometrist, and it was her opinion, and it was also the clinic that she worked for, that it was standard practice to get a dilated eye exam. So that's when I was like, you know what? I'm in the vision field. I should be getting a dilated eye exam. So that's why I got a different doctor who did that. And probably if I stayed at my doctor that wasn't doing it, I probably could have asked for it being dilated. And there's probably the pros and cons. So when you have your eyes dilated, you can't see very good. You're very light sensitive. And if you have no other choice that you have to be the driver getting yourself home, maybe your doctor has thought, you know what? I can get pretty good pictures. I'm going to not have him go through that because I know he's got to drive himself home. So there might be other reasons why a doctor might make that decision of not recommending it or doing it. Yeah. You can certainly ask your eye doctor, I don't want to have a dilated eye exam, or I do. So talk to your doctor about it, yeah. Any other questions?
How common is it for an adult to learn Braille if they have like a late onset vision loss?
So it's less common for an adult to want to learn Braille. An adult who's lost their vision as an adult, probably because there's so much technology now. So something like, you know what? It used to be that, you know, you'd learn Braille to read the labels on your spice rack and label your movies, your CDs. Well, you know, if somebody's got a smartphone, they could just use that Seeing AI app and have it read to them. And so some people might say, well, I have an alternative now. But I definitely have clients who don't have a smartphone, and so Braille may be an option for some things. But yes, you're right. Maybe what you were thinking was like, how many people really do learn it as an adult? But not as many.
What about seeing eye dogs?
Yeah, so guide dogs, I have helped some of my clients get a guide dog or to get ready to get a guide dog. So somebody needs to have pretty severe vision loss to be acceptable for having a guide dog. If somebody has too much vision, they will not rely on the dog enough, and it will confuse the dog, and the dog will eventually lose their training because the person is walking where they want to walk, not where the dog is guiding them. So anyway, somebody has to have pretty severe vision loss. They need to have orientation and mobility skills. They need to typically know how to use a white cane, know how to cross a street with using the sounds of traffic. So that's sometimes why I'm helping people like get ready. Okay, first you're going to learn how to get around independently using a cane, and then we'll add on the guide dog. And I've also helped people once they've gotten their guide dog and then they come back home and helping them learn maybe a new route to a specific location in their town. So I've helped people with guide dogs, and that is a whole other area of specialty. Wisconsin has one guide dog training program. It's very small. It's called OccuPause. Any of you hear of that? They're based out of Madison. They're extremely small. Like they place like 4 dogs a year in. But what's nice about them is that people can get the training right in their home community, in their neighborhood, in their town. So the dog is brought to them and the trainer comes to their city. And then the other closest one would be Leader Dogs for the Blind, supported by Lions Clubs and many others. And they're in Michigan. And they have a great training program there. And they have many more dogs and many more staff. And they serve a lot more people than just 4 dogs a year. I'm not sure how many. It's many. So I have helped people with figuring that out. Do you have any specific questions about guide dogs? No. Guide dogs don't know where to go. The user tells them forward or left or right. So the guide dog doesn't know how to get to the bank or the nearby Quick Trip. So the user is telling the dog what to do. The dog has training of like, I'm going to stop at every curb that I get to. I'm going to stop at the beginning of every step. So it's a combination of the user knowing what to do and the dog knowing what they're supposed to do. Yeah.
I'm making an assumption that it would be people that live in a city environment that are utilizing public transportation.
So who would be using a guide dog? It's somebody who's going to use it. So yes, if somebody lived, many miles outside of town and they never go anywhere, yeah, that's probably not the best dog placement. But if that person like comes into town because their daughter is in sports and they come to school regularly and they want to get around in town and to their appointments, and maybe they get arranged to get a ride to the clinic and they want to walk into the clinic by themselves. So it depends on more so the activities that the person using the dog is going to do with the dog. So.
Hi, I just want to put another plug in for the WTBBL, the Wisconsin Talking Book Braille Library trustee. It's available, and the application asks for a professional or someone to certify that you are allowed to do this, but one of the allowable certifying persons is a librarian.
Yeah.
So you don't have to visit your optometrist or your ophthalmologist or anything like that. And they not only have the talking books, but they also have descriptive DVDs that you can borrow, and you borrow the equipment forever, and there's no return date. Some of the items that you can check out, have return dates, and some don't. But yeah, and go on upstairs. You can always use the machine upstairs that has the vision impaired magnifying thing. It's one of the big
I wondered,
ones.
is it a video magnifying machine?
It's a video magnifying machine.
Okay.
Yeah. There are bunches of stuff right here in the library, and the Talking Book and Braille Library is operated out of Milwaukee, and it's funded by the National Library Service, so it comes out of the Library of Congress kind of thing. But everything gets mailed to you free of charge, and then you return it free of charge. They have, labels. So if you want to find out more about that, talk to your librarian.
Excellent. Thank you for that plug. Yes, definitely the Talking Book Library, the Wisconsin Talking Book and Braille Library. There's an application, and I love the service. I think it's awesome. And yes, your own public library knows about it and can get you signed up for it too. Yeah.
I've got a question. How does Wisconsin compare to other states in offering these kinds of services?
So, so some states, I don't know if I mentioned the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. I don't think I did in the presentation. So Division of Vocational Rehabilitation is the state agency that helps people with a disability get back to work or get retrained, so they now with this new disability they can have new employment. And then our agency is separate from them. Some states have that combined so that the agency for the blind and vocational rehab services are together within the same agency. So that's a little different with Wisconsin. Our agency does work with DVR clients though. It's a cooperative agreement and contract that we have with them. The other thing that's sometimes different is sometimes, I'm a state employee. Sometimes different states don't have these services being provided by a state employee. It's like a contract, or that agency, that private nonprofit agency has a contract to provide those services for the state or that region. So it happens in Wisconsin that I'm a state employee and I provide direct service to people, which is not common.
I have 3 questions. One is, when you buy a magnifier, like a handheld magnifier, what is the magnification that we should be buying?
So magnification level is tricky. One, because there's not any strong regulation on what one company calls their 2-power magnifier and another company that calls their 2-power magnifier, or how they market it. It might be a 2-power magnifier for that big one, and the little thing in the bot, that little tiny spot, is a 4-power. So basically, one thing is it's hard to tell sometimes until you're looking through the magnifier to know. The other thing is figuring out what you need versus what the next person needs. You might need a 3-power magnifier and another person might need a 5, and that 5-power. And that's where we often are helping people figure out, well, what strength of magnifier do I need? And that power is usually an X, signified by an X, 2X, 5X. There is another way to measure magnifiers. It's diopters, but often that's not listed anywhere on at least some devices.
What was the smallest one?
The smallest one that I have up here is a 4-power. And anybody's welcome to come and try any of these things afterward too.
Okay, and I have another question. Somebody in my book club had a magnifier that looked like almost a sheet of plastic that was lighted on the outside.
Yep.
That you could put over the books.
Yeah.
Do you think those are, are they just for people that have tired eyes, or are,
Yes. So those
are they a waste of money?
page magnifiers, sheet magnifiers. Sometimes they're made small that are like the size of a credit card, so you can put it in your wallet. But anything that's just flat and it has those ridges all in a circle, those are like maybe a 2-power magnifier. They're also not clear like a lens is. So you're looking through this plastic, it's not quite as clear. So for some people, it's enough. That's all they need. Usually by the time people have called me, that's not working anymore. So they need something stronger or better quality.
Okay.
And sometimes that's, like the bigger one that I have is only a 2.5 power, but it's a good quality lens and the light is good on it too. And that's another common thing that people need, both magnification and light with their magnifier. So that's the one you might not have a lighted one in your junk drawer at home.
One more question.
Yeah.
So you didn't address dry eyes as a problem, but my mom lived to 103, and dry eye was a major problem for her. Is there? I mean, I know that there's Restasis and other dry eye things that you can take. What can we do to avoid that? And what do you tell your clients to do?
So dry eyes and the treatment for it, it's best to ask a doctor, not me. But yeah, there are the drops. There's more like a gel type thing that is like thicker than just the drops. I've also heard that like plugging up when we tear, it drains into our nose and sinuses. So plugging that up, the warm compresses so that's humid. So yeah, and so dry eyes, you think, what's the big deal about dry eyes? The cornea is our outside layer of our eye, and it corrects some of our vision for us. And when it's dried out, think of when things dry out, they're shrivelly and not clear anymore. So that's why it's not only you can't see as well if you have severe dry eye, but it's painful too. Yeah. Okay.
See another hand over there someplace? Evan?
Are there any subsidies for like the META classes?
So subsidies. So I'll go back to talk about cost. Obviously, there's a whole range of cost that they cost. So that little signature guide is $1. Some of the magnifiers that I show people are $25. Some are over $100. The electronic things are sometimes into the thousands of dollars. The Meta glasses are only starting at $350, which it's a lot of money for some people. But you think of how much do people pay for just regular frames, and what they can do is pretty amazing for that $350. Because like this device that read the paper to us, that's all it does, and that is $2,000. So those Meta glasses are they're a great price. And one of the reasons why I think, well, Meta wanted to make it affordable for many people to go buy it, but it was planned and marketed for the general population. So it wasn't a specific product for people with vision loss, so they're selling those to lots of different types of people. So that's supply and demand pricing. So your question actually was about subsidies. Is there anything that can help pay for these things? So one is most things are not covered by insurance. So they are out-of-pocket expenses that people have to purchase. And our agency has some funding from our federal grant and some state funding to help people purchase products if they can't afford it. And we also get donations of things. So like the video magnifying machine, that bigger screen thing, I get those donated to me, and then I give them away to people. And also Lions clubs have traditionally done that type of thing too, where they will get those video magnifying machines and loan them out to people, long-term loans. So that's another way that people can get some of those things covered. And the VA, so veterans who have vision loss, they are our great services for veterans who have vision loss. The VA will buy many products for somebody, a veteran who has vision loss, including the Meta glasses. Our agency has not purchased, we typically have not purchased computers or smartphones for people, and we have not so far purchased the Meta glasses for people. But like a magnifier, we've helped people purchase the variety of other products, talking clocks. So if somebody is wanting to be employed, the Division of Vocational Rehab will help with purchasing adaptive equipment for somebody who needs it for work. So that's another source of funding. Okay.
Whoa, I see a hand.
Okay, yeah. I have dry macular degeneration, and I like to read, so I download a book that I want to read onto my iPad. I use a magnifier in addition to being able to enlarge the font. However, this is a 5 handheld magnifier with a 5 power. I went to the low vision store in Madison, and I couldn't find another one, and the manufacturer of the place that we bought these is out of business, and I can't find them anymore. Do you have any suggestions as to where I can get one?
What's tough is sometimes finding the exact same thing that you have, obviously, but you've looked for the manufacturer. My other wondering is...
Silex?
Yeah, I don't recognize that. They've gone out of business. So sometimes I've suggested to people, it could be some of those other sources that I mentioned on that paper clip or stapled piece of paper to find something similar. The other would be if you are able to look online to see if a used one is out there on eBay or something. If you're really specific about, I want one just like this, eBay is sometimes the source. And if you wanted to connect with Katie or me to see if we can help you try to find something too. So we have a lot of products that we get from those various sources to let people try before they order it.
I think we're done. Thank you very much,
Okay.
Jean. This was fabulous.
Thank you.